was once a day that I would pray for you. I'd go and misbehave just so you'd notice too. Sneaking looks up and down from across the room. And damn, what a hell of a view. I feel good, you look great, I like you, I can't wait. A first time, a first date, you're so fine, I'm so late. You sip wine, I drink straight, don't waste time to my place. I feel my heart erase, so catch me if I fall. Praying that this night's gonna last. You got it all on tap, I'm loving your vibe, always have your back. We like all the same tracks, listen all night in the sheets all black. Said I'm falling fast, don't remember life before you, that's fact. I feel good, you look great, I like you, I can't wait. A first time, a first date, you're so fine, I'm so late. You sip wine, I drink straight, don't waste time to my place. I feel my heart erase, so catch me if I fall. There was once a day that I would pray for you. I'd go and misbehave just so you'd notice too. Sneaking looks up and down from across the room. And damn, what a hell of a view. I feel good, you look great, I like you, I can't wait. A first time, a first date, you're so fine, I'm so late. You sip wine, I drink straight, don't waste time to my place. I feel my heart erase, so catch me if I fall. Praying that this night's gonna last. You got it all on tap, I'm loving your vibe, always have your back. We like all the same tracks, listen all night in the sheets all black. Said I'm falling fast, don't remember life before you, that's fact. I feel good, you look great, I like you, I can't wait. A first time, a first date, you're so fine, I'm so late. You sip wine, I drink straight, don't waste time to my place. I feel my heart erase, so catch me if I fall. There was once a day that I would pray for you. I'd go and misbehave just so you'd notice too. Sneaking looks up and down from across the room. And damn, what a hell of a view. I feel good, you look great, I like you, I can't wait. A first time, a first date, you're so fine, I'm so late. You sip wine, I drink straight, don't waste time to my place. I feel my heart erase, so catch me if I fall.
Hello, party people. Hey, Sean. What are you doing here? Oh, wait, you're supposed to be here.
That's right.
All right. So I see that we already have a couple people here. Of course, there's first LOL from, wait, where'd he go? First from Puerto Rico. How come I'm not seeing his thing up there? But I do see Paul Rhodes. Appreciate you, Darren. Followed you for many years. Thank you very much. Thanks for tuning in today with us, Paul Rhodes, and I'm glad I have helped improve your life with some of my amazing tips and tricks. Well, if you say so, and what I mean is if you say they're amazing, because I think they're pretty useful. And speaking of which, that's part of our goal today, is it not, Sean?
That's
We
correct.
want we want to help accomplish, I would say, two things specifically: simplify people's lives, and by lives I mean their world of detailing, whether it's they are an enthusiast, a DIYer, or a business owner, and we want to help them save money. Sean, why do we want to help them save money, particularly right now?
Right now, we're living in tough times where everything is really expensive.
Yes, we are. So the industry would throw, well, not would, they basically throw 1,001 products at you, and they do so with what I call hyped up and often misleading marketing. And on top of that, I consider a lot of this stuff overpriced. And that's where the simplicity can come in and help you guys save some money, is by showing you guys some of the tricks that I would say that I developed. If you were to follow my channel, my YouTube channel from the back in the way back machine, that was my what I would call my unique value proposition, which is how to do as much, if not more, with less products, therefore simplifying your life and being more economical. So we're going to bounce onto Amazon and we're going to highlight some of these products that will improve your guys' lives. So, what do you think? Oh, by the way, if you guys have any comments, any questions, chime in anytime you want. We plan on breaking as far as when you do have a question, we'll kind of stop, address the question the best we can, and continue moving forward. So, by all means, throw anything you want, and I'm pretty sure it's going to stick. Unlike that spaghetti that you threw against the wall and is not quite cooked, and therefore it didn't stick. What'd you pull up, Sean?
I just typed in best car interior cleaner.
Yeah, you know, that's a great place to start, by the way, because that is an area I would reduce, really, like for example, in my course that I teach, in basic terms, I reduce everything down to what I call porous materials or non-porous materials. So for example, porous materials, you got carpeting, cloth, velour, and porous means it's going to absorb any type of liquid. Then you have all the other materials that are non-porous, or what I would call watertight materials. You've got car leather, you got vinyl, you got rubber, you've got metal embellish parts, plastic parts. I mean, go down the list. Anything that's watertight. So there's the distinction so far. But past that, it can branch out into many different products. For example, you got carpeting on the floor. You probably got carpeting floor mats. You've got maybe cloth upholstery, and maybe even on the headliner you got some type of cloth. Now, often, in many cases, the industry, and you're pulling up some I can see right here, Sean, they will have all these dedicated products, and they will be labeled for very specific uses. And if you were to follow the industry's lead, you're going to be end up buying 3 to 4 different types of products based on the kind of car you're working on. So, for example, generally you're always going to have some type of carpeting. Often you're going to have some type of cloth or fabric material. Like I said, the headliner could be the sun visors, could be on the door panels, the seating. It can be found anywhere. So they're going to want you to buy dedicated products for all these types of materials. And add to that, let's say you have leather. or let's say you have vinyl, or let's say you can't even tell between leather and vinyl because you're not sure. Because in many cases, and when I mean many, I'm going to refer to about 98% of the cases, even if you know you have car leather, that leather will be also combined with vinyl in the way they design and engineer the interior of your car. From the upholstery, the door panels, wherever you think there's leather, I guarantee there's going to be some vinyl attached to it, which means if you were to play the game with the industry, you are going to need both a dedicated leather cleaner and a dedicated type of vinyl cleaner, shampooer, whatever you want to call it. So the point is I started teaching the world that you can literally use a single product to clean everything on the inside of your car. And we have a couple things that you've thrown at me, Sean, so I will take a little break, a little moment. So like the dollar store pad scrubbers or the super soft makeup brushes, two things I learned from you early on. Yes, perfect point, Paul. You were using super soft makeup brushes way before a detailing factory was around. That is so true. Hey, and you know who I just noticed is back for more action, Sean?
Yeah, 02 GTR.
Yes. Hey, what's up, Mr. GTR guy? So, yes, Paul, absolutely correct. And that's what has always frustrated me is that I had to go outside of the industry to get better tools than the industry was providing for us. Now, rewind the clock or fast forward the clock 10 plus years later, and finally a big part of the industry is catching up. And that's where Amazon is very, very useful because you can pretty much find anything. But I still often find myself going on Amazon and seeing if I cannot find the perfect tool that I have yet to discover, like vent brushes, or for example, the custom wheel brushes that I use that the industry still does not produce. So, Sean, when you were detailing, do you remember me showing you my custom made wheel brushes?
Yes.
And I don't even know what the industry, I think some of those brushes, they might call them radiator brushes. The point is that they're long and they're thin and they have bristles on them. Now, the reason I needed these was because when you are detailing, let's say, a performance sedan or a performance, sports car, they will have oversized rotors and calipers inside the oversized wheels. And the tolerance between the wheel itself, let me see if I can line that up with the camera. So here you have the wheel barrel, and now you've got the brake caliper in there. You've got the brake rotor in there, and sometimes there's about maybe 3/8 of an inch only, 3/8 of an inch to a half inch only gap in between there. So if you use the traditional wheel woolies, I think they might be called. Maybe you could pull up one of those, Sean. The traditional wheel brush that the industry would have you think you need. And they are useful. They do work. And I use both. It's just that those wheel brushes to clean the wheel barrels will not fit in between those tight tolerances. There you go. Perfect. See, those will not collapse and fit in between those very tight tolerances between a oversized rotor and brake caliper. So once again, to bounce off of your point, Paul, as far as the tools, that's where I have had to continue to go outside of the industry. Now, if you'll notice, Sean, basically the second one from the left, it looks like that's set there. It says metal-free soft wheel cleaner brush. Yes. It looks like that's got some thin, low-profile brushes that will be more useful than some of the other alternatives the industry throws at you. Now, whether they really fit, I'm a little suspect because my brushes barely fit, and my brushes have a shaft. There's the word for the night. A shaft that's probably only, I don't know, 1/4 inch thick in diameter. And so it's just barely thin enough to get in between those. Because really what the alternative is, Sean, for example, let's say you Can you go back a page to one of those traditional wheel brushes? Yes, so that one, top left. I'm sorry, second from the left. Yeah, that one. That is a very typical wheel brush. So yes, they're very effective. They can clean inside the wheel barrels because they're long and you can reach deeply into the wheel barrel. But if you didn't have a custom brush like I have, then what you're forced to do is rotate the wheels so that you now get the wheel away from the oversized brake rotor and caliper, and you can clean it with one of these brushes. So anyhow, what or
Let's
half
let
moon
let,
shape?
let
Yes.
actually let's go back because we missed a couple questions.
Yeah,
So
I was just reading that comment from Paul. Yeah,
let's
the
go
half
let's go
moon.
back to GTR first because he had the first question.
Okay. And polish once open. Well, the simple answer is GTR. Pretty much as long as it stays a lot. Let me think about this. So, for example, a lot of polishes and compounds will naturally separate when you don't use them. So if you happen to have a polish or compound that separates normally by just sitting on the shelf and you can mix it up and it still mixes up, I would say it's perfectly fine to use. Now, let's say it's a polish that does not separate as it sits on the shelf, but I'm of the opinion that as long as you can mix it up and it still stays liquid, it's good to go. Because if you think about these, I'll call it the mechanics of polish and compounds, is you need some type of solution, which is the liquid formulation, so that the abrasive particles can be suspended in it. So as long as those things are, as long as they're still liquid that's moving and still viscous, or well, see, viscous is the when a liquid does not want to flow. So as long as it's willing to flow, I would say you're good to go. In fact, when I was with Tom Horvath of CSI, I asked him the same thing, and he said at least his product is pretty much going to last forever, but often manufacturers will put a expiration date because it's what's called planned obsolescence, meaning they want it to become obsolete so that if it sits on your shelf for like 2 years, you think you got to buy new stuff because there's an expiration date. Well, that's not always the case. So I would default to what I just told you.
It's marketing, just like that's why they haven't. It's like a tire, like they have invented a tire that will never go flat, but if they sold it, they go out of business because they can only sell one. They can only sell it once, and then you'll never need to buy another tire from them again.
Granted, but with that said, is there is tires, actually, I think it's probably federal law that you have to have an expiration date on the tire, and I have personal experience with that. So for example, I had these custom wheels and tires on my Denali that I had back in the day, and I only drove it on the weekends. And so I did not wear through the tread life, but what I noticed is that the sidewall began to crack. And it's like, how is that possible? I would think that these tires stayed in my garage basically 7 days a week. The only time it went out was when we'd go to the beach on the weekends, and that's when it was exposed to the elements. And yet, after a couple years, even though I had still had like 90% of the tread life left on the tire, the sidewall began to crack. And before someone thinks that it's because I didn't put dressing on the tire, well, I can assure you I kept them dressed, and I used a water-based dressing to keep them dressed. And so there is a nuanced moment where the expiration date on tires can be very relevant, and I think it's a federal law that they have to have those. So Paul talks about do you know what he's referring to, Sean? This is kind of a little test for you. I'm sure you do, but the half moon shaped foam
Yeah,
spudge cut.
yeah, it's for
We
applying the tire dressing.
Yeah, we pulled that up last week, I think. It's the
Yeah,
Kraft Grout sponge. And I think I shared the story last week of how I originally found or came upon this, which I will not bore you with the details today.
yeah. You
But
did
it's
you did share it. You already shared that story. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's cool because you get 2 for 1. You cut it in half. It's a perfect weapon of choice for applying dressing to your tire sidewalls. and you get 2 for the price of 1. He also says using the yellow Kirkland towels also. Sure miss seeing the Astrovan. Well, that Astrovan is still sitting in my garage, and I still drive it. It is so darn practical. I have 67,000 miles on it now. Original everything. Engine, tranny. I take that back. The rear end I had to swap out. But it's still just, man, talk about a trooper. It just keeps on going. So what did you pull up, Sean?
Same thing as before. The interior cleaners.
Yeah, so for example, this is one of the products that, why don't you pull it up? It's Simple
Well,
Green.
okay. Well, before we get to that, let's talk about
Yeah.
these products first.
Well, see, I could pick, these are all interior products of some kind. So for example, my favorite that you pulled up happens to be the Fabric Clean. And let me tell you why. So often people understand or are willing to follow my lead, and they say, okay, cool. I don't need a dedicated leather cleaner. I don't need a dedicated rubber and vinyl cleaner. I've got a combination of all that going on in my car. But then it comes down to the fabric, specifically the carpeting. It's like, wait, I need a cleaner that's dedicated for the carpeting. It's like, well, maybe. So what you have 2 options. You can either use one of those all-purpose interior cleaners that you were just showing us, or you pick this product, the Fabric Clean, which is made for fabrics of all kind, cloth, carpeting, velour, and now you use that Fabric Clean to clean everything else in the car, like your leather, your vinyl, and anything else in the car. So that actually is one of my favorite choices, is Fabric Clean. Now, when compared to Simple Green, I believe that Fabric Clean is not only a little more effective, but I think on this packaging, it says it has optical brighteners in it. And I don't know if it's power of suggestion, but I've used it and I really feel like it has some way of livening up the color of the carpeting. So that's why I have many current videos or recent videos where I'm using the Fabric Clean as my go-to all-in-one product. It's also very economical because this is a concentrate. And if my memory is correct, you dilute it 20 to 1. So it's pretty economical. It will go a long way. And once again, times today are pretty tight for a lot of us. So that is a way to be more economical. If you want to be really, like if your priority was truly to be more economical versus maybe slightly better results, then I would lean into the Simple Green because that is even cheaper and will go further, be more economical. But if you're not really pinching pennies, then I'm a big fan of the Fabric Clean. Yeah, there's the Simple Green. Yeah, Paul likes the Fabric Clean, nice fresh lemon smell. I do as well.
Let's go back. I'm sorry, Darren. Let's go back
You're
to
fine.
this question we had here, or not question. Somebody had a remark.
Let me close out our private chat. Griots is the best. Yes, I have sample griots. I'm a big fan of griots also. I guess in a pinch, I'm going to default to the Fabric Clean because of the scent, and there's just something about having color. See, I could argue this. What I'm getting at is some of the products will be clear, and I think the manufacturers kind of are trying to suggest that if the product is clear, as in there's no color to it, that somehow it's more pure. But I'm of the opinion that colors kind of offer this subliminal messaging. So it's, for example, do so many manufacturers make their dedicated window cleaners blue? Because most of us have been groomed to correlate blue color with a dedicated window cleaner. And it's the power of suggestion. We think that, oh, it's blue, therefore it's going to be more effective than a window cleaner that has no coloring to it. And I think that same can hold true when it comes to basically anything else. And that's why I would lean, if I had to make a choice between the Griots Garage and the Chemical Guys Fabric Clean, I'm probably going to default to the Chemical Guys Fabric Clean, also because it's a concentrate and I think it will stretch your dollars out further. Let's see. Oh, first auto fetish video, rubber tip dental tool to clean perforated seats. Man, dude, you must have really watched a lot of my videos. I did, in fact. It's called a gum, wait for it, stimulator. And actually, I don't know if I did a video. That dental tool video tip was at least 11 or 12 years ago. Yes, I believe it was. Since we're on that subject, there's these other kind of dental picks. It's just a little tiny plastic thing, but it's got these little bristles on it, and it's meant to clean in your teeth. I also really like those. So yes, those, Sean. Now that's not my first choice, but that's what I'm referring to. If you scroll up a little bit, yeah, that thing. Can you click on maybe the one to the far right, Dr. Emma Brush Picks? Yeah, that thing. Can you? Yeah, that's close. Okay, this might actually be. Okay, yeah, it is rubberized. So I actually prefer the ones that aren't rubberized, that have bristles to them. Now, let me explain. Pretend this hole is one of the single holes of a perforated seat. If you just use the dental tool, the gum stimulator, and you're honing it, you have penetration with it. There's nothing on the soft gum stimulator to grab any of the debris that might actually be stuck in there. Now I use that gum stimulator to loosen the debris, because you can prod and poke it and it will loosen. You can vacuum it up, or you can kind of tuck it back underneath it. But what happens is, let's say you have a liquid spill on a perforated seat, and that liquid will dry around the perimeter of inside that hole. And so those little gum stimulators with the bristles, you can actually douche it very well and break that up. It's a very nuanced part of detailing, put it that way. So for example, pretend you're working on a perforated seat and there's a liquid spill. You can tell exactly where it is, and let's say it's kind of lighter color in nature. Let's say it was a I don't know, let's say a smoothie, and you can tell exactly where it went. And now you clean it, and what happens is your liquid cleaner will get everything wet, and it will darken up that liquid spill, so you think it's perfectly clean because you've scrubbed the seat, and let's say you kind of douche the perforations, but then you move on to the rest of the car, and now what happens is your liquid dries up, that original spill is now dry again, and you realize that inside of each of those holes there's still a little residue of the original spill left on inside of those holes. That's where one of those gum, what do they call, interdental brush, that's where one of those interdental brushes prove very effective.
So let's take a break there and let's go through
Okay.
the comments.
From
'Cause
Keith C, totally off topic, but is it really necessary or mandatory to polish the paint after using clay bar or clay towel? Simple answer is no, Keith, it's not. The nuanced answer is it depends. It depends on you and your eye. So there is heavy debate on this subject. Does the clay bar scratch the paint? In fact, Sean, I think you just re-edited one of my videos that was discussing this, where I say yes, it will scratch the paint. That's the simple answer. It's going to scratch the paint. The more nuanced answer is it all depends on what you define as scratching. Maybe a more appropriate word is that it will abrade the paint, but not every single time. So this is where it's a topic that really gets nuanced. So for example, if you have a car that does not have many bonded contaminants on the paint, and you only have to do a few swipes with the clay bar, it would be hard to see any type of abrasions or scratching going on. But if you did the entire car, I promise you somewhere on that car you're going to find something that's new that was produced by the clay bar. And it's a combination of the clay bar and the contaminants that it's shearing off as it's used. Because as you're wiping or using it back and forth, it's shearing off those paint contaminants, and it's still stuck in the clay, and now it's going to do its own type of damage or scratching or whatever. So do you have to, where'd it go? You just tucked it away from me, Sean. um, so yes, so is it really necessary? Is it really mandatory? Once again, it's based on your eye. Let's say you're working for a customer. Will the customer be able to tell that you use the clay bar? Yes, they'll be able to feel it, and it's going to feel way better. But are you going to see some abrasions or some type of scratching going on? You certainly will if it's a dark colored car, and if you have to really go in, and when I say aggressively, I mean really go in back and forth many, many times in order to shear off all the surface contaminants.
The simple answer is no. It's not mandatory. You can just clay it and then wax it.
Yes.
Or
And
go ahead.
to build upon your comment, Sean, you can just do what I call heavy-handed wax application.
Yeah.
So even though it's a wax, not a polish, you can kind of force that wax to do some type of polishing, which means it's going to diminish any of that type of abrading. But that's a lot of moving parts. How much abrasion is there? How dark is the paint? How clearly can you see the abrasions? Anyhow, so yes, simple answers, no you don't. In 5,000 words or less.
Yeah, next question.
What is best interior dressing, shiny or greasy? Well, the simple answer would be this. I did like the CSI new tire lotion, even though it's a dedicated tire lotion. And basically, I doubt it's available on Amazon.
It's not. I already checked.
So,
but I can do something else. I'll show right now. 1 second. Keep talking about it.
You know what, Paul? You probably are familiar with this because it seems that you have watched a lot of my videos. So one of my favorite products is the Stoner Shine Spray or Trim Shine. They call it different things based on how you buy it. So as a professional detailer, I used to buy it by a case, and it was called Shine Spray. But I think on Amazon they call it Trim Shine, something like that, but it's by Stoner. Now, many of the companies make an aerosol dressing, and it's different than a liquid type of a dressing because an aerosol, it's so unique in its characteristic because it puts out this ultra fine spray pattern of dressing, which means that you can dress really intricate parts of the interior and the exterior with the aerosol can, as opposed to trying to apply it in a traditional with the liquid on an applicator. So with that said, that is going to create some type of shine, and you could even call it Carzilla. I'm not even familiar with that website. Yeah. So in my arsenal, Paul, I always keep a traditional liquid dressing that I can use for the main areas like tire sidewalls or on the interior if I need a dressing. Like you, I do not like a lot of shine. I certainly don't like a greasy feeling. What I would lean into is probably Chemical Guys VRP, and if it creates too much shine for you, you just knock it down with a clean microfiber cloth, and you can knock that shine down. And let's say you're a guy that happens to like a lot of shine. You apply a second coat and you don't knock the shine down. As far as greasiness, I'm of the opinion that VRP does not produce a real greasy feel at all. It's water-based, it dries to the touch, and therefore I use it pretty confidently, whether it's on the interior or on the tires, black trim, you name it. So I would lean into that personally, which is kind of funny. I mean, I trash talk Chemical Guys in a lot of ways, but they really do make a lot of good products. Yes. If Mark, you're referring to the aerosol dressings, absolutely, for grills and such. Yeah, because it's intricate parts. And one of the benefits of the aerosol dressing, based on where you're using it, is it's instant satisfaction or instant gratification or instant results in the moment, and it really dazzles the customer. So I will use that like if I'm detailing an engine, which is just a plethora of intricate parts. But on certain grills, like Range Rovers, I mean, I've got a few videos on this where I use them on Range Rovers. I'll even use, for example, and correct, what do you think on this, Sean? When you think of dressing, you probably think of materials that are either black or darker in color, correct?
Well, that's what most customers think.
Yeah. But what about you? So, for example, if I'm telling you or I'm teaching you about dressing exterior parts and you've got this dressing, you're probably going to pick out, like if I told you, I said, okay, Sean, here's a Jeep Wrangler. And I pick a Jeep Wrangler because it's overloaded with all this embellishment of black
Plastics
vinyl
and plastics. Yeah.
parts as well as the tire sidewalls, right?
Yeah.
So if I asked you, okay, Sean, what things are you going to dress? You would probably point out all the black parts, right?
Yeah.
So, for example, what's cool about the aerosol dressings is I will still use it on even shiny or chrome parts if I need to conceal a less than perfect appearance to that surface. So, for example, there was a Bentley that had a chrome grille that was so intricate and it was so time consuming to try to polish that to perfection. And I don't mean polish it, what I mean is the chrome insert. Just it's like doing windows. You want to remove all the water spots and you want it to be perfect. Well, what I would do is just after drying it and blowing it off, I would just spray it with the aerosol dressing and it looked flawless. And I don't think, I think very few detailers would think to use that aerosol dressing on a chrome grill that is essentially a mesh grill. So, yes, I really, really like it. I like, this is from WuTangCorp.com. I'm going to guess WuTang would be your website. I like CarPro Pearl. It is versatile and dilutable. It goes a very long way. It's water-based SOI2 dressing. Yes, I remember CarPro Pearl. I don't know if I did a video on that back in the day, but that product's been around for a long time, and it used to be one of my go-to products also. So yes, I concur. Thumbs up on CarPro Pearl. I don't know if that's what you would lean into if you were trying to save money though, but everything comes with trade-offs. Quality products generally cost quality money. Perfect, thank you. You are welcome, Paul. And Keith C., it's my own vehicle and garage kept from day one since 2006. The paint is really good shape. If you're a clay towel, would probably be my best bet. Not tomorrow the paint. I'm a novice to polishing. Hey, by the way, Keith, I'm a big fan of those cloths. What did we just call that, Sean? My brain suddenly went blank.
The cloths? Which
Yeah,
cloths?
well, Keith, just that last question you had up. Can you pull that back by chance? Never mind. I just found it.
Okay.
Oh, the clay towel.
Okay.
So, my experience, and I have not tried all of them out, Keith, just FYI, but I'm of the opinion that the clay towels tend to be a little more aggressive on the paint. Now, it depends on which one you use. I haven't tested them all. So, with that experience, I will lean into just a traditional clay bar as opposed to a cloth. I do like the cloths because they're very user friendly, but I'm kind of the opinion that they're a little more aggressive than I want them to be. So if you're using it on the regular, I personally would default to a clay bar itself. Thanks, guys, for your input. Appreciate you. Well, Keith, we appreciate you. So thanks for tuning in to us. Detail it. I think he was here in the weeks previous. Was he not, Sean?
He's also a YouTuber.
What's that?
He's a YouTuber too.
Is he?
Yep.
I learned those aerosol shine sprays watching Darren. They definitely hit hard to reach areas. Yes, I use them both interior and exterior. And by the way, they're not just about reaching hard to hit areas. Often I will reach for the aerosol dressings because they just save so much time. Like, let's say, for example, and if anyone who's familiar with my videos knows that I am not a fan of shiny, greasy interiors. But what you will find out when you're experiencing it, and if you've detailed enough cars, is that there will be cars that have black or near black interiors that when you clean them, it is almost impossible to create a perfectly uniform appearance. So imagine you have a big seat or you have a big door panel and it's all black. And now you've just shampooed it and you know it's perfectly clean, but it just does not look uniform in appearance. That's where I will reach to an aerosol can dressing and I will quickly spray it from about 12 inches away just to create a nice even application, and then I take a clean microfiber cloth and I wipe it in and I finesse it, and now it looks flawless. Yes, is the material shinier than I would prefer? Yes, a little bit, but you just wipe a little bit more, knock down the shine, but the trade-off to me is so worth it because now I've created a completely uniform appearance to that material, door panel, seating, whatever it is. So those aerosol dressings, and the reason I'm a big fan of the Stoner, just FYI, is because it's one of the more expensive ones. But the reason it's more expensive because the mist comes out so fine compared to the other ones. And I've tried about, I don't know, 3 to 5 other ones, and I always go back to the Shine or Stoner because it just is superior because it's such a fine mist. Clay towel, you got to use a lot of lubricant. Yeah, I agree. Clay mitt over bar and towel, interesting. And don't press hard. Yes, that's a good point, Jason Smith, because and when I'm training new guys, this question often comes up. So I'm teaching them how to decontaminate the paint. Here's the clay bar. This is what you got to do. And I will tell them, it's like, by the way, it's not about how much pressure you're putting into it. It's more about how many times you're rubbing it back and forth, which goes into a very much heated debate. Does the clay bar, in fact, you guys can weigh in if you want, and I definitely have an opinion, and I've done my research on this, and I have a hypothesis, but the clay bar, does it pull out the contaminants or does it shear them off? No love for Turtle Wax hybrid solution products.
He asked a question earlier, but we skipped him accidentally. Let me go back.
Yeah, Mark.
Because he asked a question right here.
Yeah, no love for Turtle Wax hybrid solution products. Well, I got a little bit of love. I mean, honestly, I think I said this last week. You could pretty much shake a stick at any manufacturer you want, and they're going to make pretty good products. And really, based on your experience, you might pick a product that's only kind of good versus a product that's really, really good. But if you don't have any experience or very limited experience, when you just picked a kind of good product, you have nothing to compare it to. So my point is that it would really be hard to go wrong nowadays with, regardless of the topic you're talking about, that if you just picked a product and you were pretty happy with the results, you could just keep it that simple if you wanted to. Or if you got extra time and money, you want to start dabbling and start collecting a whole garage full of products, then go for it. But I would say with modern day chemical engineering and manufacturing, it's really hard to go wrong these days. Do you believe in ceramics?
Wait. Darren, hold a second.
Okay.
Darren, hold a second. I just want to go back and clarify.
Or pan. Oh, go ahead.
Detail it. Just wants to clarify that he's not a YouTuber. That he just does it as a hobby.
Hobbyist guys.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks, Detail It.
Yeah. All right.
And thanks for tuning in to us today, Detail It. What's everyone's take on DIY detail products or Pan's new? Are you serious? Does Pan have his own product line now?
Yeah, he just released it not too long ago. I saw his video on it.
Which someone asked that last week, right, Sean?
Yeah,
What's my opinion on? Oh no, that was last night
that was
when
last
we were
night.
doing the test run.
Yep.
And he wanted to say, or he asked what my opinion was of all these YouTube detailers coming out with their own products. And my simple answer is I have no problem with it.
Yeah.
The reason I roll my eyes with Pan, well, for a few reasons. I'm not going to disparage the guy, but you know what? If you can do it, go for it. I guess I'm going to look at, I mean, I could go biblical here. A treat or a bad tree does not bear good fruit. So I don't know. I'll just keep my mouth shut now. I'm sure they're good products. Do you believe in ceramics? I've never heard you speak of them, nor have I ever seen you shoot a video. That's funny. Someone has been taking note. In fact, I'm surprised more people have not said exactly what you just said, Detail It, because you're right. I literally have, I don't think I've ever said a word on any of my videos, and I certainly have never shot a video. And guess what? I've never applied a single ceramic coating in my life, except, which is debatable. So Tom Horvath has his new ceramics out. Would I call that a ceramic coating? That's debatable. So if I'm going to nuance the answer, I could say, okay, have I applied? Well, I tested out his products. So my opinion is this. Is the science there? Yes, it is. Do I believe that the industry oversells it, misrepresents it, and hypes it up? Absolutely, like everything else. So I know the science is there, and I have this talk with my customers because they ask about ceramic coating, and it's so interesting how it has evolved. Because if you were to rewind the clock, let's say 7 years ago, I did not have a single customer that even knew what they were. And now it's a common thing, like, oh, Darren, what's your opinion on ceramic coatings? And so I go into a pretty long, extensive talk, which is I'm of the opinion that everything comes with trade-offs, and that informed people make better decisions. So a customer will not be able to make a decision unless they're informed. So that's where I go into my lengthy talk track with them, is to letting them know what it is, the benefits of it, and seeing through a lot of the hype that the industry creates in order to sell their product versus someone else's product. Like let me just keep this, I'll use one point. So with ceramic coatings often, and I don't know if you can find, oh, perfect. So Sean, that screen, top right, advanced graphene ceramic coating, which by the way, I'm going to just call bullshit on that. Okay, is it graphene or is it ceramic coating? First off, ceramic, all right. Who asked this question? Detail It. Here I am keeping it real. Tom and I did a deep dive on ceramics. So the simple answer is bullshit. The more appropriate answer is the science actually is there. It's just not ceramic. So yes, they have the technology to do this cool stuff, make it super hydrophobic and be scratch resistant. Hey Sean, what? Oh, you're vaping. my audio went. So the ceramic labeling is bullshit, and I dare anyone to prove me wrong on that. The science is legit, but graphene is both bullshit and it's just not. It just should not belong in our industry. Real graphene is black. So if you're working on a black car, okay, maybe, and Tom knew about graphene because it entered the world of performance bicycling before it entered the world of performance detailing. But what I wanted to note is, you see the 12H, Sean? Do you know what that means?
No.
That has to do with hardness. So if you go back a page and you click on some of those other, typically they're going to have a symbol that will talk about how hard it is.
This one says 20.
20H, yeah. So by the way, did the industry bother to teach any of us what that even means? And when they first came out, they were talking about levels of 4, 5, 6H hardness. and then it became 7, 8, 9, and now according to this, they're up to 20, and that's 12, and that's 20. Okay, so for example, and I did a deep dive on this to figure out. So there's this measurement that, and when I say the industry, I don't mean the detailing industry. I'm talking about industries that measure this kind of stuff, and it has to do with a type of what's the word I'm looking for? So they're measuring how quickly something will wear down through abrasives, and what they do is lead. So for example, when I was growing up in high school, I took drafting, and we are talking 100,000 years ago, old school, no technology, no computers, nothing. So we literally had T-squares or T-squares and right angles and compasses, old school compasses that we would do drafting with. And we had pencils, and those pencils were rated based on how hard the lead was. So for example, a traditional pencil is 4H. I believe I'm correct on that. So your everyday school book pencil is a 4H lead, which is a happy medium. It's kind of soft, kind of hard. It's like the perfect winning balance, which is why they used them. But in drafting, when you're doing super sharp, precise lines, you want a harder lead so that the lead does not kind of shear off and create a mess on your paper. And so you want a harder pencil lead, which, if I remember, the higher the number goes, which would make sense because these are doing it, the higher the number it goes. So the hardest lead pencil that I believe I used in drafting was like a 7H, and it was pretty damn hard. And so it was hard to, no pun intended.
Darren, we got like 10
I
questions
know.
here. How's
I
I can
know.
I gotta help you
Anyhow,
here.
so that's
How's I can-
BS on that.
Let me
Go-
back up.
All right.
This is a two-part question. Read it, and then I'm gonna put in the second part.
When I got Lexel, I was unhappy with the results. I don't blame you. I came across your video again, was surprised you stopped using McGuire's and went to Simple Green. I'm not sure.
Wait, there's another
Okay,
part.
now to Chemical Guys. Can you please explain why you switched? Well, I can tell you why I switched to Chemical Guys, and there's no real hard reason. But the last question, Sean, that you bounced on there, is that from the same guy or a different guy?
Same guy asking.
Yeah,
a big
can you go
question.
backwards? Because I want to make sure I understand. So, for example, he says, I stopped using McGuire's, but that's where I'm confused because I've promoted so many McGuire's products. I'm going to guess he means the all-purpose cleaner and the super degreaser. And you can correct us, Kaz or Kaz, however you pronounce that, if you want. So why did I switch? I switched for a few reasons. One, I switched to Simple Green that had to do with health issues and environmental issues. So for example, back in the day, and shame on me, I was using wheel acid, cleaning wheels, and just letting it run down the gutter. I do not do that anymore. I pulled back and I said, what am I doing? Like, there's got to be a better way, and that's where I switched to Simple Green to start cleaning wheels. And I think that's where it first started. And that way, because it's so safe, like literally you could pretty much drink the stuff and it's not going to hurt you or the environment. So therefore, I did not have to worry about runoff anymore. Yeah, yes, the APC and the super degreaser. Yes, thank you, Kaz or Kaz.
Okay, we got some more questions here.
Yes, and now to Chemical Guys. There's no real reason for the Chemical Guys switch other than me testing out new products, and I needed to land, like when I was developing my courses that I now have, is I needed to land on a kind of uniform approach for guys so not to confuse them. So I switched to Chemical Guys Fabric Clean as my go-to all-purpose cleaner for interiors because it works. It's a dedicated product for upholstery, and we actually covered this at the beginning of this video. And I really think it can outperform Simple Green on carpeting and velour and cloth. But I also use it because I know it's very effective on leather and vinyl and plastics inside. So that's just me trying to keep things a little more simpler. you could literally still use, or I could, McGuire's all-purpose cleaner or Simple Green, and it would be hard to tell a difference. But that's just, I hope that explains enough for you. I have Crystal Serum on my truck, and I love it. Cool. LOL, Jason Smith. And COD, because Simple Green rocks. My most used APC. I agree. And by the way, um, as far as toxicity, that's going to be one of the drawbacks with the fabric clean, is that when I'm using it to shampoo the interior and I suck in some of those fumes, I can feel the difference, as in it's not as friendly as Simple Green. So I know Simple Green is safer for my health, but like I said, I had to default to something. So for example, Simple Green, typically you can find them in a gallon. That's kind of overkill for beginners. And so I just found also that the Fabric Clean was a little more friendly, as far as it's smaller, it's a concentrate. I know Simple Green's a concentrate also. Actually, you can use Simple Green undiluted, as in straight. You can't use the Fabric Clean straight. I mean, literally, there's just no perfect answer to anything. It's always about trade-offs. And I'm quoting Thomas Sowell there, by the way, guys, in case you know who he is. There is no perfect answer. There's only trade-offs. And that's what's important, is knowing the different trade-offs so that you can make an informed decision and say, okay, for me in my world, I like this set of trade-offs versus this set of trade-offs. Let's see, Keith C. Thoughts on how many polishing pads are really needed for a four-door car? Is it more like the thought of wash mitt per panel idea? Yes, it is. Absolutely it is. Basically, my opinion is one pad for the entire car. The only difference is if you want different types of pads. So for example, a finishing pad versus a cutting pad versus a medium pad. That would be the difference. But as far as how, yes, you can use one pad for the entire car.
All right, next
Hit
one.
me, Sean.
I'm on it. We got more to go.
There's
So,
where a pad washer comes in handy, Keith. Yes, it does. Pad washer, I'm a big fan of those. I've got a few videos on those. It really can extend the life of your pad and keep your pad nice and clean. And yes, it's going to be, once again, we're back to the trade-offs. It's one more thing you got to carry around, one more thing you got to bust out, one more thing you got to set up, one more thing you got to clean. So if you're doing a lot of polishing, I'm a big fan of them. But it's definitely going to require some additional commitment. What do you cut? Oh, sorry. Yes, APSD. Yeah, I answered that. But I was looking at Mark Rizzo's. What do you cut your Simple Green to for interiors? When I use Simple Green, I have two formulations. One's a 1 to 5 and 1 to 10. My default is 1 to 10 for interiors and most exterior uses. If I want more power, I'm going to go to a 1 to 5. So to answer your question specifically, 1 to 10 for interiors, Mark. Meg, super greaser makes me sick. Literally, I had to quit using it. Yes, absolutely it does. It's pretty toxic. It's very effective. I pretty much endured it, but that was when I was younger and dumber, and I took my health a little more casually than I do today. And that's part of getting old and collecting some wisdom along the way, as you develop this new appreciation for things. In this moment, I'm talking health, which is one of the reasons I switched to Simple Green. But that's where trade-offs come in. Simple Green is not going to be as aggressive and effective as the Meg's Super Degreaser. What do you cut your Simple Green for interiors? 10 to 1.
wait. This is two questions. And
What
then
do you cut? Oh, and wheels. Yeah, wheels, it's going to be 5 to 1. And honestly, if you can use it straight, but I don't think that it's proves any more effective. I mean, honestly, if I'm doing really soiled wheels that have not been kept up, like that the brake dust is starting to build up and won't clean off, Simple Green's not going to prove to be particularly effective on that. I use Simple Green on wheels They can be as dirty as they want, just so long as they are cleaned on the regular. And by regular, I mean at least once a month. Because past that, it starts accumulating, and you're going to have to trade off by being more aggressive with your scrub brushes, which is fine. It's just going to require more work if you want to still use a product like Simple Green that's friendly to environment and friendly to your health, which nowadays I'm all for both of those. Purple Power, is that what you're showing me, Sean?
Yeah, so I wanted to show Purple Power, and there's one more I wanted to show because this is a very
Yeah.
common product that's pretty cheap.
I'm laughing at Mark's comment. I don't miss the smell of super degreaser, nor do I. And my lungs don't miss the burn. So yes, there's tons of products that can serve. I mean, you and I, Sean, just in the short time we've been doing these live streams, we've had a few people talk about some of the products that they use that are, yeah, like Zep. You can get Zep at Costco. I mean, that stuff is industrial strength, baby. I mean, you got to be careful, but you can cut it down with water, and damn, it will clean stuff. Yeah, LA Awesome.
Yeah,
I've used that also. Good stuff,
yeah, it works
you
really
know.
well.
But once again, it's always that trade-offs. Like, how toxic is it to your health? And by the way, your skin absorbs this stuff. I hated wearing rubber gloves because my hands would get sweaty,
Yeah,
and I just once again I was very way more casual about my health than I am today. But this stuff it soaks into your skin, guys. So I recommend using protection or trying different products that are a little more friendly to your health. Hey guys at the bell, I love this. Do you do this every? Yes, we do. Every Saturday night, 6 o'clock. Be good, guys. Thanks for answering my questions, Sean and Darren. Yes, thank you, Detail Up, for joining in with us this evening. So yeah, awesome. I mean, seriously, it's which is which is part of the frustration with me is like there's so many products out there that can replace the two, three, or four dedicated products that our industry wants you to buy. And I get it. You know, they're trying to make a living. Actually, they're trying to do more than that.
I
But it just it
think
can
a
be.
lot. I think a lot of it is a scam. Just my personal opinion.
Well, that's really what I'm addressing. You can
Yeah,
call it whatever you want: scam, misleading, misrepresentative. I mean, hype, embellishment. It's all the above. It's just they're looking for their bottom line. But that's part of being a business owner is you gotta turn a profit or you don't stay in business.
yeah.
I need a new foamer. You know what, Keith? I've got a confession to make. I don't think I've ever used a single foamer in my life. You know why? Because, I mean, I see the value of them. In fact, I was at the beach last weekend at the Wedge. If any of you are familiar with the Orange County beaches, at the Wedge, and there was some guy detailing a white Cadillac Escalade, and I must have rolled in on him when he was just getting started because he was just foaming the outside of it. And I thought, there's a guy using a foamer. And I like the novelty of them, and I like the power of suggestion, which is you cover your car in this big soapy, sudsy foam. But when you start dissecting it and you think about the commitment, one more tool you got to bring around, you're going to have to be using some pressurized water system, which you may already be doing anyways, and a lot of guys don't mind it. I guess at the root of this is I figured out ways to be as lean and mean and profitable as I could. And in many ways that meant carrying around less equipment, not more equipment. So even though I started out with a garden hose and hooking it up to my customers' homes. And then I transition into a full-blown water tank, pressure washer, pressure hose, all that stuff. And it was, I mean, it serves a great purpose, but it's such a commitment. You got to carry this stuff everywhere you go. You've got to maintain the stuff. So that leads into those foam guns where it's like, you know what? I think as a marketing tool with your customers, they probably would get a charge out of it because you're now bathing your car in this foamy, sudsy, soapy stuff that's going to cut through all the heavy grime and whatever, and it's going to protect the paint when you're washing it. So I get the appeal. I never leaned into it because I knew it would just be a commitment that I thought the ROI, the return on investment, was not there based on everything else, all the other moving parts to it. Mark Rizzo, I'm not a pro detailer by any means, but thanks to Darren, I've had the cleanest cars in the neighborhood and quite possibly the area since 2016. Booyah! That's what I'm saying. And right back at you, Mark, because I tell you, everywhere I go, that has been the theme of my life. I don't care if it's at the gas station, the bank, the grocery store, the beach. People will always make comments about my car. And shoot, even at the stopping light. In fact, I remember before I was married, which is over 20 years ago, before I was married this time, I had a girlfriend, and she had a black BMW. Actually, it was triple black, convertible 3 Series. It was a 330 CI. So it had black paint, black convertible top, canvas top, and black leather interior. And it was 2 years old at the time, and we were rolling into Palm Springs, and this guy at a stoplight stopped us, and we rolled the windows down because it's 110 degrees out there. And he said, "Damn, your car looks amazing. Is that thing brand new?" And I said, "No, it's actually a couple years old." And then I had a black Mercedes. It was a full-size SEL. It was a 1991 full-size SEL, black, and had the gray rocker panels. And I wet sanded that thing, and that thing was a mirror. And I used to get comments all the time. So yes, I am right there with you. And I suspect that it, not quite possibly, but very likely, in your entire area, you have the cleanest car. So more power to you, Mark. You got anything up for us? Wow, dude, it's 7:07 already.
Yeah,
You
it's
see
already
that
been over.
time?
Yep, I'm keeping track of it.
That would be one of us because
Yep,
I have not kept track of the time. So, dude, I got to bail.
yep.
You know why I got to bail?
'Cause you gotta eat.
Yes, my body is screaming for food. You
Yep.
know why it's screaming for food?
Because you worked out.
Yes, I did work out, but also in addition to, do you know why?
Because the live stream takes a lot of your energy out.
There's that too. What? Yeah, you're anyhow. Only because I only eat one time a day,
Oh, okay.
one meal a day,
Okay.
and this is it.
Well, I thought it was Saturday. It was your cheat day.
It used to be my cheat day.
Not anymore. Okay.
Now my diet regime is different. So I do what's called it's like intermittent fasting on steroids. It's called one meal a day. What do they call OMO? One meal a day. OMAD. Gosh, man, brain fade. It's called the OMAD diet. So I eat one meal a day, and I consume a large amount of food
Yeah.
between about 7:30 and 8:30 at night.
I also eat one meal a day, and I've lost.
What's that?
I also been eating one meal a day, one large meal a day.
Oh, really?
Yep, and I've
Right.
lost 15 pounds in 3 months.
Yeah. That's right, man.
Yep, and
And Keith said, "Oh, go for it, Sean."
no, I was just gonna say that do like what is it like the vast majority of losing weight, exercising helps, but it's all about diet.
Diet is so important, and when you're young, you just don't want to put much. You don't want to put the credit where credit's due, and diet is such a huge. And it's not just diet to me is 3 things. It's what you choose to put in your mouth, it's what you choose not to put in your mouth, and it's what you choose to supplement with if you're going to embrace some supplements. So diet is very critical.
Got a
And
couple,
Keith,
got a couple more
what's
questions before we head out.
yeah, Keith, yeah, no better feeling in my opinion is that first drive after a deep clean. Absolutely, baby. I agree. Paul Rhodes? Is that Paul Rhodes? As in, dude, I didn't know it was you. Have you ever thought about getting? No. I mean, I've kind of thought about it. You know what, Paul? I might be confusing you with someone else. Barry Rhodes. Now my brain's going mush because you're asking if my wife still sells real estate. I never had a wife that sold real estate. So I don't know where that's coming from. Have I thought about it myself? Yeah, I thought about it. That's as far as it's gotten.
Mm.
So yeah, I'm not sure what to do with that, Paul. I never had a wife that sold real estate. I've had two wives. Neither one of them sold real estate.
Mm.
All right, Sean.
Yep.
Are we gonna peace out of here?
Yeah. So we'll be back
This
again next
country
Saturday.
overeats. Sorry,
No,
I'm
you're good.
reading more of Mark Rizzo's.
No, you're good. You
And
want to
Keith
tell?
is back east, by the way, so it's 10 o'clock his
Yeah.
time.
You want to tell
So
everyone about next Saturday?
yeah, so next Saturday, guys, same bat channel, same bat time, which is 6 p.m. Pacific time. And Sean and I will see you then. You guys have a great weekend, and thank you much for your comments and your